This is as far as the rich people are concerned. And what about the poor people, sir? What is the attitude of this government towards the poor people? Just as the government gives loan to rich people, the tune of 100 crores, 200 crores, 500 crores, 1,000 crores, 50 crores, like that, it also gives loan to poor people, 50,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, like that. Sir, I'm holding in my hand an advertisement printed in a leading newspaper, Times of India, just last week. This advertisement has been published by State Bank of India. I don't know whether I'm allowed to show it, but this is the advertisement which I'm holding in my hand. And in this advertisement, the State Bank of India has given the names of three defaulters who have failed to pay the dues towards the State Bank of India. They have taken some loan. And these three persons, they have taken loan of 50,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees. The total outstanding is not more than 2 lakh rupees. But with these poor people, the government is printing their names and photographs and addresses in the newspaper, that these are the people, these are the defaulters who have refused to pay the money which they owe to the government. But as far as these rich people are concerned, who have gobbled up 50 crores, 100 crores, 200 crores, the government is refusing to divulge their names. So this is the condition of this government, sir. This is the attitude. They talk of Aam Aadmi, but they work for Khas Aadmi. They talk of poor people, they work for rich people. This is what we have to understand very deeply, sir, as to where the priorities of this government lie. Moreover, sir, in the last 65 years, ever since our country got independence, the gap between rich and poor is increasing day by day. Just 2 months back, there was a big controversy created by some comment by one of the ministers, that they said that 27 rupees per day per person, that is the poverty line. If one person is able to get 27 rupees per day, that is enough to make him go beyond the poverty line. 27 rupees per day. Of course, there was a lot of controversy, a lot of opposition to this definition of poverty. The government retracted it. I don't know what is the current position. But we know, sir, we all know what is the meaning of 27 rupees in today's time. Forget about one day, you can't even get one time meal with 27 rupees. Venkaiah ji was referring to the price rise in the recent past. We all know what is happening. We all go to market. We all purchase our daily need items. The way poverty is increasing, the way prices are rising, the scale of poverty in this country is increasing. The purchasing power of our people is decreasing day by day. And who is responsible for this? These pro-rich policies of the government, the UPA government. And sir, yesterday, Honorable Home Minister, in one of the replies to one of the questions during the question hour, he was referring to the menace of terrorism, Naxal terrorism, and he admitted that one of the prime reasons for terrorism and this kind of activity is lack of development and acute poverty in many parts of the country. We all know it is true. Nobody wants to become a terrorist. Nobody wants to take a gun in his hands unless and until he is compelled to do so. These poor tribals, poor Dalits of Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal, Maharashtra, Bihar, why they are taking guns? It is because of poverty, because of exploitation. They have been compelled to do so. They have been pushed to such a level of existence that they have no other way out except to take guns. But what is the policy of our government? It is doing nothing to eradicate poverty. It is doing nothing to eradicate discrimination. It is doing nothing to eradicate exploitation. So, sir, this is a very serious problem which our President should have mentioned in her address. And, sir, besides the economic angle, there is also a caste angle. The people who are branded as terrorists in this country, who are these people? If you see the social profile of this so-called terrorist, who are these people? They are Dalits, tribals, backwards, Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Northeast. If you see closely, sir, 70 to 80% people of this country are, you may brand them as terrorists. Why these poor people? They have become terrorists. Why they have taken guns? It is not just economic discrimination. It is also social discrimination, sir. Not only they are exploited economically, they are also discriminated against socially. So unless we are ready to understand this problem in deeper sense, I don't think it will be possible for us to eradicate terrorism or eradicate these kind of social unrest which we are seeing all over the country. In the last few months, sir, I had a chance to go to Jammu and Kashmir many times. I went to the heart of Srinagar. I went to the villages of Srinagar. I have seen, I have talked to people, I have talked to youth as to what their problem is. And wherever I went, sir, people said, they openly admitted that we have nothing against India. Our main problem is economic backwardness. We have no jobs. I found many people, many students, many young people who are PhD holders, BTech, but they have no jobs. Rampant unemployment, poverty, backwardness, and most importantly, sir, corruption. Corruption today is the single largest factor which is contributing to this social unrest, what we are witnessing in Jammu and Kashmir, sir. But our government, it is only doing lip service. The Prime Minister goes there, announces some packages, and nothing happens on the ground. This remains confined to files only, sir. Nothing is happening on the ground. So when this peace, some people say Kashmir is returning to peace, and I want to warn the government, this peace is very temporary. This peace is very temporary. The way things are boiling up, the way things are not changing, the basic problems of the people are not being addressed, I'm afraid it may erupt again. It may erupt again. Sir, this is something what we need to understand and address at the earliest. And sir, another important point which I would like to raise here, sir. I just talked of discrimination with the poor people. The poor people belonging to Dalit, backward minority communities, they are facing discrimination everywhere. And sadly, sir, it is not only the poor people among these sections who are facing discrimination. I want to draw the attention of the government towards the attitude of the government towards non-fulfillment of reservation quota for SC, ST, OBC and SC, ST and OBC. I have got enormous data with me, sir. I have collected a lot of data through RTI. The reservation quota for SC, ST, OBC, especially in the class 1 post in academic institutions, it is not even 1%, sir. Not even 1%. In one of those earlier speeches last year on IIT bill, I spoke of how in IIT Delhi there is only one scheduled caste and one OBC lecturer out of 478 teaching positions. In DU also, sir, in JNU also, central universities, everywhere, all over the country, there are thousands and thousands of SC, ST, OBC students with highest qualifications, with good academic records. They are roaming without jobs. And our government says that we are not able to fill these positions because we don't have qualified candidates. Now, what is the meaning of this qualification? I fail to understand, sir. Qualification means PhD, qualification means NET. Even with these two things, our students, SC, ST students, minority, OBC students, they are not able to get their jobs in universities as lecturers. So I can see there is a design behind all this thing. The government is talking of safeguarding the interest of SC, ST, OBCs, but what they say and what they do is diametrically opposite, sir. This government is very high on words, but very hollow in deeds. High on words and hollow in deeds. And especially from the point of view of SC, ST and OBCs, this is very much clear. Another example I would like to quote here, sir. Last year, sometime during budget session only, sir, there was a big issue regarding diversion of SC special component plan funds, the tune of 734 crores for Commonwealth Games. Honorable Home Minister, he stood up and gave a commitment that at the earliest this money will be reverted back to the SCP fund account. Nothing happened for 5-6 months. In the winter session, I asked a question from the government as to when this money is going to be reverted back. And they didn't give any clear-cut reply. And even today, sir, it's almost more than 1 year has passed. That money has not been reverted back to the SCB fund.
Mr. Kurel, you have taken about 22 minutes.
So we have got 51 minutes.
Yeah, I will tell you.
Yes, sir.
Your party has 51 minutes.
Yes, sir.
You have 2 more members.
No,
to
one
speak.
more member. Only.
2
one
more.
more.
Huh?
No, one more. One more.
Then it's left to you. So I can take away the one name?
Yes, sir. Narendra Kashyap is not there, sir. So, yesterday, Satyavrat Chaturvedi, he was speaking of the welfare schemes started by the UPA government for the welfare of Muslim community, minority community on the lines of special component plan. But this example of diversion of SCP fund from SC scheduled caste account, and the same is the condition of tribal sub-plan. Their money is being diverted. In JNU, sir, recently there was big news. The funds belonging meant for the OBC students, welfare OBC students, they were diverted for the foreign joints of professors. The money was meant for OBC students, but it was diverted to some other means. Everywhere, all over the country, this kind of thing is happening. The funds meant for scheduled caste people, funds meant for OBC people, funds meant for tribal people are being diverted for some other things. And I'm afraid the same kind of thing is going to happen with this fund, which the government says, proudly claims that they have kept separate fund from minorities and Muslims.